All right, what is going on, world? How we doing today? It's episode 14. We got Ange Fit, we got Train Like Prince. We are bringing you an episode today, which is, I think, going to be very beneficial for a lot of people. We're going to be talking about injury prevention and recovery from injuries. All right. So this is a key one. A lot of people overlook this. They don't really think about injury until it actually happens. So being able to nip it in the bud before it happens, or maybe you were too late about it, how are you going to get back from it? All right. But first things first, we're going to start off with our quote. Ange, what you got for us today?
All right. So, well, first off, I have to say, if you're living in Maryland, Mother Nature is very drunk right now. Mother Nature is so drunk.
Bro, is
so
it hot
drunk
out there? It's hot out here today.
Oh, can you come and like, pull me through the screen to you, please?
I wish it worked like that.
We had 70 degrees yesterday, and now
Right?
it is icing at my house, and it's what, 34, 33?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I
Yeah,
woke up
that's
this morning and was like,
concerning.
what is happening?
What is happening?
Global
Mother
warming.
Nature's drunk. Yeah, Mother Nature's so drunk. All right, so the quote today, and guys, this quote, I learned this such the hard way. An injury is not just a process of recovery, it's a process of discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I like that. What's your take on that first? What do you think of when you hear that?
Oh, when I hear that, I think of you have an injury. You're thinking about obviously recovering that muscle or that tendon or whatever it is. But man, do you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about your habits, your priorities, what you were neglecting in your training, what you were neglecting in your journey to health, your patience, your mindset. Like, you discover new things like, oh, maybe I'll do more art. Maybe I'll do more reading. I can't go out and run. What am I going to do? You discover so much about yourself when you are injured that the process of discovery is real if you're open to it. Because I really wasn't open to that until I got a little older. If I got hurt and I was in college, you go to the athletic trainer's office and you're like, dude, fix my hamstring, wrap it up. I got a game in 2 days. Now, when I got into my 30s, I was like, broke my foot. I'm sure we'll get into that. I'm like, wow, I wasn't listening to the signs, or now I have all this free time. Maybe I should learn something new. But you've got to be open to that discovery process, because if you're an athlete or you even just work out, having an injury is one of the hardest things by far.
That's a game changer for sure.
100%. I know when you said that, the discovery, it was like, I was thinking like discovery of like where your weaknesses were, or maybe things that you haven't been working on.
That's true too.
Not all injuries. Some injuries are freak accidents and you can't control it no matter how hard you train or anything like that. But like sometimes if you tweak something or if you pull something, like that can mean maybe you're weak in a certain spot. It's usually what injuries, like typical injuries, happen from, is not training specific body parts and maybe overtraining a certain muscle group and neglecting another one. That's what I was thinking as well.
I agree, but I agree with you too. But I agree with you 100% too.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, cool. So let's dive into this. This was one where I wasn't too sure about what topic to kind of go with, but I felt like this is one that's lived with me my entire life. I feel like I'm not injury prone, I would say, but I feel like I'm gonna do a lot of this today. All right, guys. So just get ready for a lot of knocking on wood. All right. So hope we got some wood surfaces around.
Yeah, glad you got some around.
There's gonna be a lot of that today. So hopefully I don't hurt your ears. So I'm gonna start off. Let's just start off with some injuries that you've maybe witnessed or experienced. All right. We'll start off super simple. I'm gonna start. We're gonna go with, I think my worst injury was when I dislocated my elbow. This was my junior year of high school. and I was wrestling. It was during wrestling season. It was probably, I want to say this was in November or December, because I think it was right before Christmas break. And I was actually having a pretty good season. I think I was I was undefeated in dual matches. I think it was like 2 or 3 matches. And I just won a tournament, and which was great. It was like my first wrestling tournament I won. And going into this other tournament, I think it's like there was like 8 more schools that were there. And I was going against this school I'd never even heard of from North Jersey. And the dude, we're wrestling. It was the first period. The dude had my leg in a high single, and we were going out of bounds because I was trying to get out. And usually people just drop your leg, right? Whistle blows, it's dead, and they just drop your leg and you go back to the center. Well, this guy decided to just shove me because I guess I was giving him like a little run for his money. I was kind of being more aggressive than he was hoping for. And I might have ticked him off, I don't know. And he pushed me, and I went to go catch myself, and my elbow hyperextended the other way. Nothing. So you can say what you want about breaks or anything like that. I haven't broken anything since I was like a baby. I fractured a collarbone, knock on wood. And I don't really recall that. I haven't really broken anything else before. So people always have told me, like when I went through this, is that hyperextensions are sometimes worse than breaks, because when you break something, you usually cut the nerves. The nerves are kind of cut. So hyperextension, everything's just stretched out. So the whole time, everything was just stretched, and I'm sitting on the mat. I think almost there was 10 mats in that gymnasium going on at once, and I'm pretty sure the other 9 all stopped, and everyone just like looked over because I'm screaming the F word at the top of my lungs in excruciating pain, like someone was like tearing my skin apart. I was in such shock where I couldn't even move. And I'm pretty sure I was face down on the mat. I just didn't know what to do. They bring a stretcher over. I don't recall a lot of this, but I'm face down. They had to put me on my back to put me on the stretcher. So they had to like hold my arm. It was at my elbow, but like I couldn't move anything. They had to roll me over, which was like excruciating pain. They couldn't get the door slot in the center of the door to remove, like the door is closed, the metal frame. They couldn't find the key to remove it. So they had to maneuver my arm and my body through it on the stretcher. Oh. And then they gave me the smallest possible ambulance where they had to lift my arm up and pull it back to get into the ambulance. And then apparently I swore it was like a half hour to 45-minute drive, but the hospital was right next to the high school. It felt the longest ride of my life.
That's the kind of injury that like all the other matches, everyone stopped giving 100% around you. They were like, damn, I don't want to get hurt. I'm not going to go hard.
Like, what? I don't want to fight anymore.
No, you totally messed up every other score in that whole entire gym. Totally.
Yeah, they're like,
totally.
What?
They were like, yeah, we're not going to, let's go half.
Mm-hmm. So I got to the hospital. They like gave me morphine. They gave me something else. They gave me a shot to numb it. And the guy literally just like took my arm, and I couldn't feel it. And he just started moving it, and then it just popped right in. I was like, oh, cool. Put me in a weird half cast thing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going back to the tournament. I want to cheer my team on. So I went back. I was sitting in the stands, and I'm just like drugged up, just like trying to keep my eyes open.
Guys.
My mom's like, we're going home.
Oh, Scotty, I will have to say you are such a team player that you telling me you did that, I'm like, of course he did. Of course.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah, that sounds like you. That's your behavior, man.
I could not go home. Like I was like, it's still like wrestling is individual, but it's also a team sport at the same time. So
you're such a good teammate.
So that I know I have coming up, like what's the worst one you've seen? Oh no, that's later on, but that would say is by far my worst. I've gotten stitches. I got an elbow to the face. I got an elbow to the head. I got stitches up here. I've sprained my knees. I sprained my ankles, my wrist. And I definitely pulled like my groin before, like minor things like that. I can say when I was in LA, I was wrestling. A lot of my injuries came from wrestling now that I think about it. I've had at least 3 diagnosed concussions from football. I want to say I had more.
Put you in a bubble.
I know, right? And then the one time in LA when I sprained my ankle really bad, it was wrestling. I was wrestling an inexperienced kid, and he held down my ankle, like anchored it down, and I went to spin out of it like a normal move, and he just twisted my foot the other way. I just felt a pop like halfway up my shin. So I had like a high. I diagnosed myself with a high grade 2 ankle sprain because it took me almost 2 months to like fully recover from.
That's spicy, man. I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna say that you injured your ankle dancing, but I feel you.
I've definitely had sore ankles the following day after weddings. Don't get me wrong. All right.
I had a client that tore her ACL dancing at a wedding.
Oh no, man. That's such a common injury to us. Man. That's a gnarly one. ACL tear is a gnarly one.
I've seen, and then I've seen also friends like break their arm in front of me in football. I've seen people get too dehydrated from wrestling, like cutting weight, and they ended up having to get rushed to the hospital, and he now permanently has heart arrhythmia from cutting weight too much, too fast.
Well, don't worry, I'm hydrated and I'm not in any saunas.
Yeah. All right, Prince, what you got?
Man, so dude, fortunately, by the grace of God, I've not had any injuries. I had appendicitis.
Yes!
Yeah, I had appendicitis.
Yeah,
no, but check it out. It was induced like while it happened while I was working out. I was trying to deadlift something way too heavy, and like I got up from it and I was like, dude, I feel super dizzy. And like 3 hours later, I was having like this sharp pain, and I didn't know what it was. I woke up the next day and went and trained abs because I thought like, oh, you know what, maybe like I need to get some blood flow in that area, blah, blah, blah. And then like it got worse.
Let me do some abs real quick.
Yeah, let me do some abs. And I was like, I can't push, I can't do anything. And I went to the hospital and they told me I had appendicitis. Unfortunately, like I didn't know much about it. And they sent me home with like antibiotics. My wife was pissed off. And like a week later, about 5 days later, I went back. And they were like, yeah, man, it's like inflamed to twice its size. Like it started to feel like it had a mind of its own. Like it was just about to like bust while I was taking my daughter to school one day. And that was like my workout. That's my injury that happened because like after I got the surgery, the appendectomy, I couldn't work out for like a month. I couldn't train my clients or anything. I mean, I think we're gonna talk about discoveries later, but like for me, I noticed how much like I loved fitness and how much of a blessing it is to have an able body that like works and that you could use. And like, you know, that time off was a big discovery. I'd say some gnarly injuries I've witnessed or been around to see like the aftermath of would be one with my cousin Daiquiri. He was really good at football. And then he was at the skating ring in Michigan and he took a skate like right here to the face, right beneath his eye. And he has like a metal plate right there. And the doctor like said he couldn't play football anymore because of the risk of going blind in that eye. And that was like, I remember that day, like he was heartbroken, you know what I mean? And he's one of those dudes where you're like, dude, you're a freaking ninja, man. Like, you know, like you're a warrior, like, and to see you like decommissioned is huge. You know what I mean? So that's one. And then even working with people, I want to say a common one I've seen very often is like, you know, knee issues, shoulder issues, a lot of ACL tears, stuff of that nature. But as far as my own personal history, man, that appendicitis was going to take your boy out the game.
Hey, it's real. It happens.
Man, for real. But yeah, I witnessed a lot of different ones, and I work with a lot of people who've had like certain injuries, which I'm sure y'all both have too.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say I agree with the knee, shoulder, ACL, absolutely with clients.
Lower back.
Top four.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a lot of injuries. I started out as an athletic training major. So I did an intern at Towson Sports Medicine. Guys, you've seen nothing until God, this was back in the late 90s. Okay. Probably like 97, 98. So ACL surgeries and all have come so far since then. But I've seen D1 football players crying in pain. Okay. And it was just like, whoa, like for me, like it was unbelievable, like fresh out of surgery. The next day they come in, we got to get them to move. And these big dudes are in tears. Like I said, it's come a long way, a long way. But I've seen a bunch of injuries. I've seen a lot of accidents with my clients, training so many clients over the years. Anywhere from, I don't want to get into too many details, but I've seen dog attacks, I've seen broken wrists, I've seen car accidents, I've seen freak injuries, I've seen a lot. But as far as myself goes, I want to say I have a few, but I broke my foot. I was teaching a BOSU class. The BOSU had just hit the scene. Okay.
Oh
And
shoot! What year was this?
The balance
Oh,
trainer.
God.
The balance trainer.
What year was this, man?
A balance trainer had just hit the scene, and I filled in for this trainer who was teaching this BOSU class, and I twisted my ankle. I was like, oh my God. So I kept teaching the class, right? I run home, put my foot in a bucket. I'm training for a triathlon, right? Months later, do the triathlon, yada, yada, yada. The day after the triathlon, I step on the sidewalk right where it was just a little uneven, go down, foot breaks.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Like you weren't even like in the field to get, like I'm doing some everyday stuff and this happens, right?
So it was an injury from a previous injury that I didn't stop training because I was training for a triathlon, and it came and bit me in the ass.
Damn.
So I've also, for the women out there, I've also had a hysterectomy.
Oh yeah.
Major surgery for women out there. And that was a big eye opener for me because I thought that I was going to be the superwoman. And I thought a month after surgery, I was going to get back into training. And I went in to train my first day, had my workout planned, stopped me in my tracks. I ended up having to take 3 full months off from training.
Wow.
Yeah. That was hard, but that was like my body gave me no choice but to listen. No choice. So that was an interesting experience. I've also cut parts of my fingers off. Let's not get into details, but if you've ever had stitches in your fingers, guys, more painful than childbirth. I swear.
Ouch. That stitches in my
Oh,
nose.
that's a bold statement from people I've heard from.
Right. I was like, Scotty.
When they open wounds on your finger and they shove that Novocaine needle right into the open wound.
There's so many nerve endings in your fingers too.
Moving on.
I'm good.
Moving on. Moving on.
All right.
Next question, Scotty.
All right. So you guys touched on this a little bit. Most common injuries that you see in training in sports. So basically what I've seen more so, always back, is obviously like rotator cuffs, cuff tears in the shoulders. I've had labrum tear, rotator cuff in both my shoulders with a slight separation. And that's just from like years of playing football and wrestling, from getting my shoulder torqued, from pushing against people. That's where you're going to end up tearing that labrum. And then ankle sprains, knee sprains, especially if you're doing like some high intense stuff, like you're going to potentially roll an ankle, or you're going to maybe land wrong, or you might just get that knee sprain from like overtraining. All right. A lot of these common injuries that you see and hear of are, I would say, I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I would say almost like 75% is probably from overtraining. It's probably from, it's not giving yourself any rest days. So you're not letting your body heal and recover. So when you're giving that impact over your knee over and over and over and over again, like your tendons are gonna be like screaming at you. And when you land the wrong way from it, that's when even because you're gonna be exhausted. So maybe you landing the wrong way is because a muscle isn't engaging the way it's supposed to. So that could be another reason from overtraining that you can have that injury get caused. And then you guys might want to touch on it a little bit more, but the lower back,
Mhm.
I find that is a very common one. And I think that's just mainly for people not working the core enough. Like your core isn't just your abs. It's not just your six pack on the front side. Like your core is also your lower back. It's what kind of really supports your lower spine, your lumbar. And if you don't have a strong lower back and you do all these moves and you're not engaging your core or anything like that, like that's where you're going to end up pulling it, because you're going to be using those muscles when they're not strong enough to do certain moves like a hip hinge or a jump or a stabilization move. But those are some of my most common ones, like rotator cuff tears, sprains in the ankles and the knees, and lower back pain. What do you think? I know you guys kind of touched base on that a little bit. Do you guys want to touch on that a little bit more? Prince, you got anything?
Yeah, man. I would say like I would say knee issues. And you think about like the knee, like you really use it every day, like in a sense of like, going up and down stairs and different stuff. But like I've seen like just by doing too much volume with like lunges or squats, like I've seen people end up having a knee injury. Rotator cuff's a big one. I've seen that with a lot of guys just overdoing it on bench press. Some people even I've seen some females, even with like push-ups and different things, like just like too much volume. Lower back, dude, man, I want to say that's like, man, that could happen in the gym. That could happen in just regular life. Like I had a client a few years back, like hurt his lower back putting his baby down. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, I think that's, man, that in improper form. I think that's why it's so big, important to like know, like, okay, when it comes to fitness, it's not just about like looking good or even performance, but it's like, action ready life. Because then you could develop that form on how to pick up something off the floor, how to properly bend and stuff like that. You know what I mean? A lower back for sure, though, man. Like that is, I mean, when I first became a trainer, just reading that like over 70% of Americans suffer with some type of lumbar spine issue. You know what I mean? It's very common. Thing about that is like your center of gravity, like everything you do kind of leads back to that. And, especially when you're doing movements like deadlifts, but when you reach out and I piggyback off the core, man, having a strong core, working out that erector spinae muscles in the back, strengthening those things. But I feel like it's going to be kind of repetitive. I think we all can pretty much say like around the knee, the shoulder, the lower back, that's so common. And it's so many different ways for that to happen, for you to kind of tweak something.
Yeah. And I'm going to say for me, because I am about 1 month into 10 to 15 minutes of stretching every morning, flexibility is a huge denominator for injuries.
Yeah.
Stretching is not exciting. It's not sexy. It's not fun. It hurts. It can be.
You can make
it's the flossing of the fitness world. It's the flossing of the fitness world.
Yes. Everybody knows they should do it. By the way, I love flossing. Just saying.
But they don't. Good.
I use the water pick. It's great.
Oh my gosh, everyone's talking about that. I pride myself on these babies, man. I go in and I sit in that chair and I'm like, I'm going to be your easiest appointment all day. You better tell me I'm pretty. Like, that's all I want to know. So flexibility. Yeah. So now all my clients, I have a warm-up board that I put out every morning. Number 1 is the thought of the day. We got to get our mind right. Number 2 is a warm-up. Okay. And number 3 is a stretch. It's amazing how many of my clients are not stretching, because here's the thing. They can pay me and use our time to stretch, but why? It's so easy to do it on your own. I have found great value in 10 or Saturday and Sunday, I have more time, 15 minutes of stretching every day.
Agreed.
It is a habit that is hard to form. Like this morning, I didn't feel like doing it, but I was like, go do it. And I did it. But I say lack of flexibility or being unflexible, not having good flexibility, however you want to say it, is a huge reason for injuries. Absolutely.
No, 100%. Because you're going to be pushing your bodies in positions that they don't want to be in sometimes, especially your hips. Like lack of range of motion and flexibility in people's hips. Like that's why you could definitely see, like I learned this from doing a lot of one-on-ones, is why people can't get their hips in the right position, or the weight, like it's not the weight, it's too heavy sometimes. It's just like your body's not letting you go in that direction. Like,
you don't have like your muscle fibers won't get there. And even like my wife actually found this out like a few years ago in Seattle when we lived out there looking at a cadaver, and this doctor was explaining about like how like every night you get like a layer of hardened fascia, you know what I mean, and like how it's so important to stretch, crack, and break, kind of like break that down every day. Otherwise, if you don't stretch every day, it's like it just adds on and on, you know what I mean. And then of course, like if you think about that, like if the muscle is surrounding the joint and then the muscle's not doing well, I mean, you know, joints gonna overcompensate. Kind of like how you guys mentioned, like people tighten the hips. That's another thing that leads to lower back issues. You know what I mean? It's sometimes it's coming from something above or below that area where you're having the issue at.
Great points. Yeah. Absolutely. And if you think about it like that you get this hardened fascia, like your body's in rest, and then you got to wake up and get it going again. It makes total sense why, like, even me being a, you know, pretty serious athlete, within the last 4 weeks, adding in 10 minutes of stretching in the morning, my days have been totally different. Totally different. I'm stronger. My lifts are stronger. It's crazy. It even affects your strength. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. If you look at some bodybuilders, they're like some of the greatest bodybuilders are flexible as heck.
I know. They're like,
got to be able to hit those fibers.
Yeah, it's like these great white sharks that come out of the ocean that are so agile, and you see this huge muscle guy like do a split on stage, like in his routine, and you're like, what?
Wait, you would think that person's stiff from all that muscle, but nah.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You got to read between the lines. Truly,
absolutely.
So my next one was going to be recovery, but since we're kind of I feel like we touched on it a little bit. I want to go right into prevention. All right, let's talk about how you can prevent these things from happening. One that we just talked about was increase your flexibility, getting your stretching in 10-15 minutes a day. So when I wake up and I teach class right in the morning, I usually try to hit the roller, especially when my legs are super sore, but I always try to get my piriformis, my hamstrings, my glutes.
You still taking that gun? You're still taking the Theragun to work?
Oh yeah, one of the members got us a gun for the studio, so we have a gun at the studio now.
Hey,
shout out to them. I clean it off, but I always hit the bottom of my feet, and I get my calves and my shins with it because like those are always my most tight.
Same.
So I do clean it off after I hit my feet. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah.
But like you said,
it's severely icing. That's ice hitting my window. If you guys hear it. I don't know if you hear that.
I'm like, let me listen.
That's wild.
You're listening. Let me listen to the sunshine.
Right. I wish. But yeah, so definitely flexibility, increasing your flexibility. And then some things I like to do is like obviously going through a proper warm-up. Like we've talked about this before, properly warming up, getting your body ready for your workout, increasing your core temperature. All right. Another good thing that the roller does, like we talked about in a previous episode, is that it kind of heats up your muscles. It heats that friction from the roller is going to break up that myofascia, but it's also heating up, which is also going to help increase that core temperature, which is going to bring blood to that area. All right, which is a very good which is good for you because like if you have a spot that's super tight, like you want to get blood rush there because your blood is going to help heal it. It's going to help loosen it up. And then some other ways to prevent injuries is just making sure you're doing full body stuff. I'm not saying you're doing like a power clean like every day and like squats every day, not like that, like full body throughout the week. All right, making sure you're hitting different body parts, making sure you're hitting like every large muscle group, but also hitting those small muscle groups and using different pieces of equipment. So it's not just using a barbell all the time. Yeah, you can get a lot of strength and a lot of power from a barbell, but you won't be able to get some moves because you can't move a certain way with the barbell. All right, you can't do unilateral movements. You can't do a single leg deadlift and kind of turn your body a certain way, engage your core the same way. So making sure that you have a well-rounded routine. I know some of it might be hard. I'm not expecting you guys to do like 500 different exercises throughout the week, but you should be constantly changing it. So your body's kind of always kind of surprised, shocked. Stay on your normal regimen, but make sure you're getting those things in between your lifts and your workouts.
Right.
And also stay hydrated. That's a huge one. All right.
Definitely.
Because the last thing you want to do, especially during wintertime, I know we're kind of like weaning out. Well, who knows if we're weaning out of winter right now.
No, y'all got
but
ice.
right, y'all got ice. We got ice in our veins. But you want to make sure that you're staying hydrated. Even if you're outside, you don't feel like you're sweating. You're still sweating. Like
You
you're
need water,
still
man.
precipitating. Yeah, or not precipitating. You're still perspiring. And then make sure you get your electrolytes in. Electrolytes are super important. I started drinking something called LMNT. Paul got me on this, and it has like just the right amount of sodium, potassium, and magnesium in it. And I do it every day now, and I retain my water so much more, so I'm not dehydrated. Because I was drinking a gallon of water, and I felt like I was still so thirsty. But once I started drinking this once a day, like once I get to that gallon, like I feel good. Like I drink a little bit more, but like I'm not like my mouth isn't super parched or anything like that.
Scotty, share that with us where you got that from.
Yeah, I need to become
so
electrolyte shouty.
LMNT. Let me get the box real quick. Sorry, Kat. LMNT is its own brand. It's electrolyte drink mix. So this is a raspberry flavor. It has the right amount, according to professionals, the right amount of sodium, potassium, and magnesium in it. Like some people will drink Pedialyte or other sports drinks, but they don't have enough sodium or the potassium in their drinks. And then it has 10 calories in it, 2 grams of carbs, and then that's it. And then just the potassium, sodium, and magnesium.
Awesome.
Magnesium is
And
golden.
and this is really good to, there's no sugar, no gluten. It's paleo, keto friendly, vegan friendly. It's super great if you're doing outdoor workouts. If you're in a middle workout, I'll usually have it while I'm working out, especially for my more higher intense classes. And then I'm drinking it right now. Like I have one a day. It's really good for you to start your morning off with it. I know some people used to kind of put salt, like sea salt, in 8 ounces of water. They don't drink that.
So is this online or are you getting it from a store?
This is online, lmnt.com.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
They have like a couple different ways you can buy. I think you can buy a variety pack, like a sample pack. I went ahead and just bought a single 30 pack of them, but you can buy like 4 boxes of it for like a cheaper rate.
Cool.
But
I'm gonna
on
check
my
that
first
out.
box, and so far I like it.
I know someone
Nice.
this will be perfect for. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, Prince, what you got for some prevention? How you gonna keep me from getting hurt?
Oh, man. So, dude, I would say, man, there's a couple of things, dude. Rest is one for sure. Rest.
Yes.
Like just so many different things why rest matters. Like one, mentally, you know what I mean? You could get injured by just not having your head in the game when you're lifting. You know what I mean? Like you could just slip your mind. I've seen it happen before. Also, like letting your body get that too. Like, your muscles, everything needs that. They need that rest time. And I've been there. I've trained I tried to in 2019. I tried to go a full year working out every day. And I want to say by March, like I got sick, and then I also like started feeling the injury coming on. Like my knees weren't clicking the same. Like I could feel the injury coming on, and I knew that it was from lack of rest. I would say another one is whether you're training by yourself, if you're training in a group setting or you being trained, listen to your coach or your trainer, like in a sense of saying like, okay, like if they try to give you a mod just out of safety, maybe take that mod. You know what I mean? Like if weight is readjusted, it's not calling you weak or anything like that. It's 9 times out of 10, it's out of safety. And I think it goes like that too with like even like how we work out. Like, we love lifting heavy or going that extra mile sometimes. Like, do it with it. Do it, with like a calculated risk. Don't have a pirate victory to where like, yeah, you lifted that, but then now you can't work out for like 2 more months now because you screwed up something. So I'd say always being mindful of the form. Always being mindful of the form. Like when I'm working out, I really try to put my mind inside of my muscle so that I could feel the muscles working. I could feel that contraction. I could feel that stretch rather than just lifting and throwing weight around, because like sometimes like you are not loading up the muscle, you're loading up the joint, and that's not what's up. That's not what you want to be doing. Like you said, hydration, vitamins and minerals, getting the right things inside so that the body can function, absorb the right things, do what it's supposed to do. That'd be another one. I feel like I have one more in there. One that had really been on my mind, because I've seen that a lot just throughout my time training, is that like people hurt themselves when they don't have to, just trying to go too hard, like push yourself, like, you know what I mean? Definitely, but like just trying to go too hard, or like, you know, working out just extremely with improper form. You know, and then rest is a big one. There's the other one. Like be rested. You got to be sharp. You're gonna perform your best. You ain't missing out, especially like if it prevents you from decommissioning yourself. If you get decommissioned, you're gonna miss out on a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like listen to your body. If you feel like you're at 40%, give 40%. If you feel like you're 20%, give 20%. Like, or just take a rest day if it's that low, you know? I think anything below like 35%, like you should be resting.
Yeah, take a walk. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean you gotta sit on your butt the whole day. Just take a walk, scale it back some. Go move in a different way. Go stretch. Like, you know what I mean? Like move still. But yeah, man, that's what I got, bro.
All right, Ange. I know you got some words for us. I know you got something for us.
Mm-hmm. You can see it.
All right, so
I'm excited.
I got years under my belt. Okay,
What can you say?
mid-40s. I'm just gonna say it. Mid-40s is gonna hit this year. So I have to be very careful. I have a lot of years training, a lot of years of beating my body up. So guys, I have a list of things that I do personally. Number one, and one of the things I'm going to piggyback on what Prince said, probably in the past 2 years, I've really stopped focusing on the number on the weight and really contracting and using the muscle.
Right.
Putting my ego aside and really focusing on the contraction, the part of the lift between the beginning and the end, really focusing. I'm stronger. I got more definition. I got more conditioning. It has been wonders for this body. Okay. So that's the first thing. Number two, proper warm up. I always do a proper warm up now. I never did before, like jump right into the lift back in my younger days. But now a warm up just feels so good. And like I teach my clients, a warm up makes you that much better in the gym, right? It makes you lift that much better. Another thing, which I told you guys I added within the past month, my newest is my 10 to 15 minutes of stretching daily, whether it's a rest day or not. It's part of my morning routine now. And it's everything from getting in and out of the car easier, like helping my clients, you know, running, the cardio, lifting, being a mom, like I just feel so movable. Like I can move. Any little aches and pains I had, shoulder, knee, are gone now because it was something tight pulling on something. So it has been an amazing addition to my recovery prevention and the newest one. I'm so excited about it. Muscle soak and CBD bombs, taking those baths.
Okay.
Muscle soak and CBD bombs are amazing for inflammation, amazing for helping me just decompress, recover. I love them. I have a huge tub that when we bought this house, I said, I'll never use that. I mean, Angelo was using it more than me. He takes ice baths all the time after training. But I am like, it's amazing. Do that for yourself. Hydration is huge. I actually just recently added another 24 ounces of water to my day. As I'm getting leaner, I need more water. So hydration is huge. Starting before coffee with my athletic greens with 24 ounces of water and my apple cider vinegar has been a game changer also. Love doing that. Collagen. I recently changed my collagen for joint health. Collagen helps with joint health and prevention of joint injuries. It helps them. If you are not on collagen, women especially, like, think about getting on one because it's amazing. So schedule my recovery days. I look at my schedule and I'm like, okay, what do I have planned? And I actually plan my week of workouts and my recovery days in my weekly schedule every Saturday. My week starts on Sunday. So I schedule it in and I stick to it. Sure, I have time to lift, but don't let your body rest, because then I know I'll be that much stronger tomorrow and that much more rested to go into my workout mindful. But one of the biggest things I've done for myself in the past 2 year and a half is PT Mike. So every 2 to 3 months, I go to a DPT, which is a doctor to physical therapy, and he gives me body work. He starts from my head all the way down to my toes, asks me, how I'm doing. He knows what I'm training for. He knows his job is to keep me functioning in the gym. He's amazing and worth every penny that I spend for him. And he literally makes me, I'd say he's the single reason, one of the biggest single reasons why I'm still able to do what I do and compete and lift and train the way that I do and be the athlete that I am. The things like my spine, my shoulder, my ankle, my knee, like he works on me from head to toe for about like an hour and 10 minutes every 2 to 3 months. And I keep that going. And it is amazing and one of the best investments that I've done for myself. I don't get deep tissue massage. I go to PT Mike because
just sold
for me, that body work is more important to me and everything working on track, especially with posing, guys. Like, you'll see bikini girls up there. We contort our bodies. Like, we got this popping, this turning, this lifting, this up.
Gotta have that mobility.
You gotta have that mobility. And he helps keep my strength up too, because every time I see him, I go and I lift the next day and I just text him, dude, I am so strong. Like, I just feel amazing. And then Angie beats her body up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I go see him again. He gets me back 100%. And it is an amazing investment. So if you have a DPT by you, or you have an osteopath, some people like to work with them, or even a chiropractor that does something similar. I haven't really been into the chiropractor scene because I've just found PT Mike and I'm sticking with him. But get some body work done if you're serious, even if you're not a serious athlete, even if you're just an everyday exerciser, like, it's worth it, because they will keep you in working order. And I have to say, I sing his praises. I love that guy. So good. So
nice.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I definitely have gotten body work maybe a couple of times. It's always one of those things where it's just like, I should probably do it more because my body definitely needs it.
Yeah. I find like, once every 3 months, like I kind of did a test. So I know what my trigger points are and what starts to feel. And I could tell, like, when I'm in my improvement season and I have more body fat, 3 months is perfect. But now that I'm so lean, like, I scheduled him like 2 months. So I see him next week. So like 2 months, I'm good. And then I might even just do a month and then I'll see him. And then once I go into my improvement season in the summer, every 3 months is decent for me. But you kind of do a test to see how you feel. And that way you can gauge what you need.
Awesome. No, it's great. Definitely recommend going and get some body work, guys. 100%.
Definitely.
And some massage therapists do this as well. Depending on their certifications or their education, I think some will do that as well.
Yeah. Depending on which one and what kind of, like, what their focus is. I think because everybody who does some stuff, he does like cupping, he does acupuncture, he does the body work, he does a little bit of everything.
And acupuncture, oh my gosh, people love that. I've never had it done,
Me
but I have a
neither.
client who gets it done for her shoulder. She loves it and it really helps her. It really helps her.
Dry needling is probably my favorite. It's probably one of the most painful, but it's my favorite.
PT Mike always tries, and I'm like, nope, let's just keep on doing the manipulation. Let's just not do that part
Yeah,
yet.
if you do dry needle, you won't be able to work out the next day. It's like one of those things where it takes
Yeah.
like a day because it like
Yeah.
brings all the blood and it gets like kind of like stiff.
Yeah.
You gotta keep it loose, and then it feels like then you feel like $1,000,000 though. It's great.
I need to be a little, I need a little more body fat. That just scares me like that. Like literally, I'm afraid he'll be like, oh, this is like an anatomy class. Let me put the needle right now. I jump
They
off
put
the
it in there and
table.
you like they flick it in there. Oh, it's rough. It's rough. All right. So let's go into recovery and rehab. All right. So I'm going to kind of stem off of my injury that I talked about earlier with my elbow. It took me 2 months to recover from that. That was over the minimum that they told me I can come back. I was going to PT 3 times a week. I definitely recommend, like before I even get into that, if you have an injury and you hurt yourself, it hurts to do a specific movement that you used to always do without pain, go get it checked out. Especially if you have insurance. If you have insurance, go get it checked out. Like, don't get me wrong. I'll be honest. I don't have insurance right now. We're working on it. It's going to happen this year. I promise. It's going to happen. But like, I try to do a lot of self-diagnosing stuff just because like I do know anatomy like pretty well, exercise physiology. Like I know the steps. I've been through PT enough times. I kind of go through the motions. If it's something I know that's not getting better, I'm going to go to the doctor. It's just, that's how it is. If you have access to a doctor, you have a PT, anything like that, go to them. Like they're going to help you. And when you go to them, you're going to be back quicker rather than constantly just aggravating that injury more and more. So when I had my dislocated elbow, I was going to PT 3 times a week. Obviously, I went to the doctor first. They're like, all right, cool. This is what happened. This is what you need to do. Run me a prescription. Saw a PT. And he's like, well, you'll be lucky if you come back in 2 months. And I was like, I'm coming back in 2 months. I have the end of the season wrestling tournament to get back to. I was going there 3 times a week, just getting stronger every day, just doing a lot of body weight stuff, a lot of band stuff. The one thing I could say is that like I couldn't run, I couldn't do certain movements, so I lost all my endurance. When I came to wrestling, the one thing I always had was endurance. I was always able to outlast the other guy. And
Man,
when I came back from my injury,
personal experience.
When I came back from my injury, my first wrestling match, I think I was down by like a point. No, I forget what it was, but I was in the match. I was right there. And like, there was like the last 2 minutes, I was just done. I couldn't do anything. I ended up losing to the number 1 seed by like 2 points. And like the guy came up to me after, he's like, yo, like good fucking job. Like, he knew about my injury. He knew about everything, like how I started off. And I was supposed to be like a contender that year. And then he's like, yo, good fight back. Like it was my first wrestling match. Like there's no way you can simulate wrestling endurance besides wrestling. Like I tried running. When I was able to run, I tried running. I tried to keep myself in it as much as I could. I kept myself busy. I was watching film. I was doing what I had to do. But it was just like I came back, I feel like too fast. And I tried competing too early. And it wasn't the injury that did it for me. It was just like my lack of endurance from not being able to train. But like Ange was saying when we first started, is like having that mental game. I know a lot of people can get injured and then they just kind of lose themselves because it's kind of like all they've ever done. So it's being able to keep your mind right, keeping yourself busy on the right things, not getting lazy, not getting comfortable, not going or regressing to like what you did before you did training. You always want to keep your mind like on the task, on your goal. Like your goal is still your goal. It's just now you got a couple obstacles that you have to get past. All right. And those obstacles are going to make that you succeed in your goal that much better. So it's definitely Doing the right things. They always talk about rice, right? Rest, ice, compression, elevation. Not so much anymore. Especially the R. All right. You should
But it was
never.
mice now.
What's the M?
Movement.
Movement. Yeah. So movement. I always say rehab. You can keep the R, but change it to rehab. Or I like
like
mice
that.
as well. Because you like just because you have an injury doesn't mean you have to completely stop. Like you have to start strengthening those muscles. You have to start strengthening everything around it for it to get stronger. Things don't just magically heal and get better. And they do get better, they do heal, but now it's going to be weaker. It's going to be weak. And if you don't strengthen it and you let it go too long, like you're not going to get back as soon as you want to. So definitely should ice directly after injuries, keep a compression to help with swelling, and elevate it also to help with the swelling. But you want to make sure you're moving. You got to stay moving. Like I told you, like when I injured my elbow, I went right to rehab. I went right into PT. 3 days a week. There's no, oh, we'll do once a week. Oh, we'll do this. No, like boom, boom, boom. Like get it in. The guy was moving my arms, just working on extension the whole time. I've even had like a hyperextension. Goes further than this one. All right, Prince, what you got for recovering?
Man, so dude, I would say I really like that y'all brought up like movement and rehab. I've seen a lot of people get injured and they go into like protection mode and they just stop moving that part of their body completely. And then, they look up and years later, they don't have that mobility when it probably could have been gained back, through that rehab and, and just proper movement around it and stuff like that. I think that's a big one for recovery. And then when you are decommissioned, I think that's a great chance to explore discover self in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, always have that plan to get back to it and work toward getting back to it. Don't let that not become part of your life. But now it's like, okay, what else can I work on? What else can I do? Where else can I grow? What can I make my activity or my exercise to just kind of add on? And that way it's, my favorite quote, minor setback for a major comeback type of thing. You know what I mean? You could utilize that. I'd say for recovery, always assess, like you said, see what you did wrong. See okay, now I know how to definitely do that differently this time. My recovery is pretty simple as far as my methods. I would say always discover what can you replace what you lost or what's kind of being put on pause. See what you can replace that with. Strategize how to get back to it. What you're gonna do when you do get back to it, and then keep moving. Don't go into protection mode. It's no different than say you fall in love and you get your heart broken, and then now you're I ain't loving no one again, all that stuff. You know what I mean? Now now your heart's turned cold. You know what I mean? Type of thing.
Cold-blooded.
Man, seriously, but yeah, that's. I think y'all got a little bit more with recovery because of just the overall experiences. Just from what I've seen and what I've done with the people that I work with, it's just been movement. And then I think that mental barrier has been a big one. I have a lot of meetings and consultations with people, and just mental barriers with certain things or certain setbacks from injuries to just life happening. You know what I mean? The mind and the mental is always going to play a big role in that. So how you play with your mind and where you let that take you. Yeah, man.
Love it. All right. How you coming back? What's your comeback plan, Ange?
Yeah,
So I agree with you guys 100%. My two main points is number one, go to the correct doctor. If your insurance allows you to skip a referral and you have a knee injury, please don't go to your primary care. Go to a orthopedic doctor that's specific to that. You can save yourself a lot of copays and a lot of time. So that is one of the biggest things that I see. Somebody has an injury over the weekend playing, volleyball, and they have a primary care appointment the next day. Primary care gives them a referral and a script for an MRI. They go get the MRI. There's a second appointment. Then they go to a specialist. That's a third appointment. If you can go right to the orthopedic who does the x-ray or the MRI in the office, you have now just one appointment and one copay.
Yep.
So that's the biggest thing that I see, where somebody injures their knee and they go to patient first. Unless you need some kind of mobility device or something that's going to, like a brace or something, you know, then go to the correct doctor. That would be the first point. But I agree with the whole mental discovery, like take the time to work on your weaknesses. So my second point is, it is always the most challenging thing as an athlete to admit where you are weak, because the strengths are fun. The strengths get you attention. The strengths get you the glory. The strengths get you all these things for the team, your ego. But if you stop and look at your weaknesses, you will be that much better of an athlete. And I preach this to Reese all the time. Great girl, you can corner kick, like drop it in front of the goal. You are awesome. But what is an area where you don't feel confident in and strong? That's what you want to work on right now. So I always preach that to any athletes that I ever meet, and to people in general, like, identify your weaknesses and work on it. It's not fun. It's going to suck, but you need to give it time. Stretching right here. And once you get it working and you get better, you're going to like it, because we all like what we're good at, right? So
that's easy money right there.
Yeah. So those would be my 2 points at that.
Love that. No, yeah, just, guys, you got to be smart about it. You got to, like, have the patience to get through it. Like, it's going to be a setback, and we all go through setbacks. We've talked about this in previous episodes. You learn from your mistakes. It's not, maybe not a mistake, but it's a learning experience. It's going to make you stronger. Which kind of brings me into our final point. It's not much of a point. It's kind of just your take on it. Biggest injury, or biggest, like, comeback from an injury that you've ever seen. I didn't really go comeback. I have a couple in my mind, but I have, like, a couple, like, the biggest I've ever seen, and they're all professional sports.
I gotta hear this.
Kind of, like, so I think one of the worst ones, I had to look it up because I didn't know the guy's name, but he was a hockey player for the Sabres. He's a goalie. His name's Clint. I'm gonna butcher his name. Martichuk, and he got his throat slit in a game. He didn't die, but, like, he legit, like, you see, like the dude's kind of, like, I don't know what happened. The guy, like, fell and it went underneath. It cut his throat, and there's legit blood just gushing out. It was wild. I was like, how did this guy not die?
Did this happen recently?
No, this is years ago. This is wild.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was one of the most, like, probably the most intense ones I've ever seen.
That is intense.
These two, I think I saw live. Anderson Silva breaking his leg in the octagon, UFC fighter. He went to go for a kicked the dude's leg. His leg, like, wrapped around the other dude's leg. Broke right at mid-shin.
I think I saw that on TV.
He was never the same after that. His leg looked fake. It looked like it was Photoshopped. It was just like, it was wild. He was not really much the same when he came back. So that wasn't a great comeback. And then this was probably one of the most tragic ones I've seen. It was spring break. We were in Myrtle Beach, and we were watching March Madness. And it was a basketball player from Louisville. His name is Kevin Ware. And it's the middle of the tournament. I think it's like 2012. And we're just watching. We've been drinking all day, and I couldn't believe it happened. And the way this dude landed, it broke mid-shin, and it came out of the skin, and just bone was hanging out. And it was just like, what? Like, it was just gross. I was like, oh, like, I've never seen bone come out before.
That's
like
spicy.
live, at least. It was
That's
spicy.
spicy.
It was very spicy.
That's spicy.
But I want to give comeback injury to Cam Akers. The dude ruptured his Achilles last season. The end of last season. He came back, I think, a game before the playoffs. He recovered in 9 months.
Wow.
That is unheard of. That is
That
they
is
say minimum
unbelievable.
a year minimum recovery.
Right.
When you
That's
rupture your
unbelievable.
Achilles. Like
Wow.
something like that, like that's just, I don't know. That's wild.
Wow.
All right,
That's
Prince, what you
intense,
got?
man.
What's probably the biggest worst you've seen and your biggest comeback?
Man, dude, you know I'm gonna have to link it to like something in life, right, man? Because I don't really know many sports people. I'm trying to think of people. But
Okay,
I was
it's
like,
all
oh
good.
man, besides, man, I'll just say like I'll just say overall, trying to think of someone, or I'll just link it to life. I'll say biggest comeback is just anyone who goes through something, man, and then like you come back, either you come back better or you don't let it hinder you. And I think an example of that would be I'm gonna use Nipsey. That's my guy, man. And I think when he was first up and coming, he spent a lot of time like on music and this and that, like the studio they had, like it got like raided, shut down. They had like him and his brother, I think they had like $200,000 saved, but they stored it in the ground and it molded. And to think about like just like $200,000 molding, the spot where you do your music at, now it's like shut down, this and that. And to like at that point to be like, you know what, man, I should just give up. And those were his thoughts, like just stopping giving up. But had he given up, like he wouldn't have actually made it as great as he did. You know what I mean? But I feel like that's a big setback. A lot of people like just want to see $200,000 and to like have it, touch it, it's there physically. You try to save it or whatever, or store it, and then it molds and it's gone. But then you decide like, I'm just gonna keep pushing. You're doing music or you're working towards your dream, and everything that you have put together to build that dream, you kind of see it just burn down, but then you collect the ashes and you rebuild and you even take it further.
That's great.
I like that. I like that.
Sweet.
I love your
Thanks, man.
perspective.
Mhm.
I always try to think deep on things. Life has so much meaning. There's so many layers to it. But that's what I would have to give y'all in comparison. All those injuries you told me physically, though, I mean, that's some gnarly stuff, man. I'm
I
pretty
love
sure
your
there's a lot
twist
more out
on
there.
it, though.
No,
You're
it's good
bring-
flex. I like it.
Bring us back from all the
It's not always
gory.
about sports. I get
Well, no, I appreciate that. It's all life. It's all life. You know what I mean? It's all full circle. Everything kind of affects everything. So
Right. Yeah. Well,
all right, Ange.
with
Your
this
top.
question, my mind goes to one thing, and it's not an injury. Okay. 1997. Okay. Michael Jordan. What lesson can we learn from game 5 against the Jazz? You never order out the night before a big game. He got food poisoning and was vomiting up until he walked out on the court, ended up scoring 38 points that set the Bulls in the 3-2 game lead in the series. Here's a little tip. Never order out the night before an event. Pack your food, people. Pack your food. And who let Michael Jordan order a pizza anyway?
right.
Too much room for someone purposely food poisoning him. Too much. You could be in the same city as your rivals. I hate to put that on people, but that's just, I don't like that. Pack your food.
Yeah.
Pack your food.
Mhm.
Stick to the plan.
Stick to the plan. Pack your
Stick to the
food.
plan.
Someone's out there to sabotage you.
Which
Yeah.
is that's trash. If people that do stuff like that, just trash if you do stuff like that. But yeah.
But guys, I encourage you to look at some of the footage from that game. Oh my gosh, he looks green. Like he just
true Space Jam.
oh my gosh. Guys, you know how, I mean, they're throwing up as your team is lined up in the locker room to go out. Like that's some legit deep, get your mind over your body.
Yep.
Yeah. And of course,
No, it's
even though the whole controversy with Lance Armstrong, testicular cancer, I mean, he did overcome all the obstacles of that as well. So I got to give that
Yeah.
to him as well. But those would be my two.
Love Lance. Good man. Awesome, guys. Well, that was great. I hope you guys can get a lot of takeaways from this.
Real.
Before we finish up, we do want to know what we're all working out with. All right, this week. So I don't know if y'all know, but Idris Elba does a lot of things, and one of them is he's also a DJ. And there's a song by him and Charlie Ayo. It's called "Sweat." It's very deep house like. It kind of just you're gonna be nodding your head kind of thing. "Sweat" by Idris Elba. Check it out.
All right.
It won't be disappointing. It's a little out there, but you'll like it. You'll like it.
"Sweat" by Idris Elba. Okay.
What you got,
Put that on
friends?
the list. Oh man, so I got Ludacris again, man. Ludacris has been good, man.
Say it's the
Ludacris
song
is
I want to see. Say it. Say the song.
Get Back.
Say it.
Yes.
It's not a really good
Get
song.
back.
You don't
Good
know
song,
me
good
like
song, good
that.
song.
Get Back, bro. It's gotta be a good.
You don't
come
know
on
me
now.
like that.
For real, like that's a good song, man.
I almost put Ludacris as well. There's the song I was listening to earlier this week. It was "The Potion."
Bro,
Oh, yeah.
that overall was a good album.
All I
Yeah.
see is the video because you guys know I'm a huge music person, and literally MTV was my jam all the time. And all I see is that video with Luda all big and his chains. Get back, you know me like that.
The
Like,
big
that's all I
arms.
see. Yes, the big arms.
I think that's a good thing about Luda. He's so animated, man.
Gosh,
So
yeah. All right, so. Guys, I'm just feeling the 90s vibe today with my Michael Jordan, okay, my 90s, 1993. This is where this song. You guys
That's
even...
a good year. It's a good year.
2 years. 2 years old.
Oh my gosh!
I was born that year. Good year. It's a great year.
All right, 93. MC Light.
Hey, okay.
Okay. Roughneck. So like I'm on the stepper and like she's helping me keep my beat, you know. So I gotta give it to MC Light, Roughneck. Bring it back the 90s.
I gotta add that to the playlist for the ladies tonight.
Yes, get the edited version. Please don't do the explicit in class.
Oh man.
Yes. Love it.
Awesome. All right, guys. If you guys want to catch any of us on social media, which I know y'all do, you can check right down here. Catch me on Instagram, Sky the Body. Prince.
Train Like Prince everywhere.
Ange Fit everywhere.
Everywhere.
All
right, guys. Thank you so much. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Please leave comments in the comment section below. Please share. Give us any feedback that you have for us. Maybe something you want to hear on a future episode. And thank you guys so much for listening. You guys are all rock stars, and we love you. Deuces.
I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Later.